So let's start. Let's talk about factors affecting grammatical choices. So a speaker who has successfully internalized the rule of the languages and their constraint are says that they possess a grammatical competence. This means that they are able to use the rule of the languages automatically and also to produce grammatical sentences. It also means that they are able to make accurate judgments regarding the grammatical of the sentences that they read and they hear. So in instance, for example, if you have a native speaking in your classroom, so that native speaker has English competence or grammatical competence, so they can identify when someone make a mistake in the languages. But in many cases, those kind of person who has competence in the languages cannot identify what a specific mistake the person made when they hear or they read. So the same happens in Spanish. In Spanish, we know many people who can use the languages, but in many cases they cannot explain when someone make a mistake. They just recognize that there is something wrong in the sentences or in the expression that those people say. So gaining these kinds of competence in the languages, like identify when someone make a mistake, is a really important goal in the learner process, or for the second language learning. So after all, the ability to produce grammatical sentences in the languages, it is an important for the real communication, for a good communications. But nevertheless, the achievement of grammatical competence doesn't guarantee that the learners will be have effectively communication in the languages. Why? That's because there are another factor that affect the choice of the languages besides the grammar factor. So the environment in which the person or the kinds of person who is talking to, so those factors can choose or can affect the choice of the languages in a specific moment. So for our teacher, it is important to know those different registers in the languages. Why? Because we have to help our students to identify or to know when and where they can use the languages according with the situation that is given. So there are factors that affect the choice of the languages. So here we have some factors. Let me show you. Here we have social linguistic factor. What is social linguistic factor? Social linguistic factors refers to the setting in which the language is using, and the who speaker locutor are. So the relationship between the participants, the locations and the medium in which the languages is using, those factors can affect the choice of what form of grammatical or what's grammatical choose we have those speakers or that speaker in that situation. So but what is important for the teachers to identify or to understand those different registers and to teach in the classroom? It is important for us because we as a teacher we need to identify, or we need to give our students a sense to identify in which circumstance they can use the languages, the grammatical form or vocabulary according with the specific situation or the situation or person or setting in which we are. So for example, When we are teaching expression, or we are teaching some topic in the class, like constructing form of the modal verb, like we have here in the first example. First example say, I have to sing him. So also when we are teaching that, we have to tell our student that it is another way to say it. I have to sing him. So this is a little informal but speaking using the languages, and our student has to know that there is another words to express the same sentences. So the other example that we have here is this one, when you are teaching a normal question. So for example, do you intend to do that? Person, are you gonna do that? So those sentences are the same. Why the first one is more formal, the second one is less is informal. Is informal. So but also it is informal, but many speakers use in the street. And our students, if they are in some real situation in a normal conversation, maybe they can find those kinds of expressions and they can be lost if they don't know that they exist. So to conclude this presentation, we can say that we as a teacher, we need to identify those different registers in the languages, and also our student needs to develop a sense to identify where they can use those different registers, different words of the languages. So thank you so much.